welcome and thank you so much for joining us. This is Africa Today. My name is Nahabe Kajura, but first are the headlines. Oulanyah tasks NRM leaders in northern Uganda to harness strength of their structures ahead of 2026. Each constituency to receive 360 million shillings top up for Emyoga SACCOs. Omicron variant prompts mass vaccination in Kenya. And in our sports today, lackluster Kampala Capital City Authority sees off Bull FC. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We start with one of our top stories. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, has tasked the NRM leaders at all structure levels to take the responsibility of monitoring and inspecting government programs and projects very seriously in order to consolidate the party's political support. We have more on this report.
Jacob Oulanyah made the remarks on Wednesday as he concluded his 3-day consultative meetings with NRM leaders in northern Uganda. The meetings were intended to build synergies, reflect and re-energize the party structures to mobilize better for the effective implementation of the government programs and service delivery. Oulanyah said that the next elections are far ahead. Right now, let's focus on revamping the party and re-energize NRM leaders at all levels, adding that they want the NRM structures to get involved in supervision of the implementation of government projects because they are the ones who sold their manifesto to the people. He tasked the party structures to showcase, cause and get involved in knowing every aspect of the implementation of the NRM government manifesto. Oulanyah told the media that the purpose of these meetings is to galvanize the strength of the structures of the party, get them involved and encouraged to make sure they follow up when the projects are started, commissioned until completion. In all his engagements, Oulanyah emphasized the need for a coordinated and collective effort from the leaders if they are to fast-track the implementation of the NRM Manifesto 2021-2026. Reporting for TV Africa News, Nahawe Kajura.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. Moving on, Minister of State for Disability Affairs, Honorable Helen Asabo, has appealed to government to raise her ministry's budget up to 16 billion shillings to enable them improve social lives of people living with disabilities. Now, she said this as Uganda joins the rest of the world to mark the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on 3rd December.
Addressing a news conference at the Government Media Center in Kampala, Honorable Helen Asabo, the State Minister for Disability Affairs, said the demand for special grants of persons with disabilities is high, yet their budget is limited, hence appealing to government to support her ministry by increasing the budget to about 16 billion Ugandan shillings to enable them disperse grants up to 2,400 households of persons living with disabilities.
My appeal to government is to support my ministry and raise this budget to a grant of about 16 billion. This will enable us to reach 24,000 households, targeting 36,000 persons with disabilities who need support to start income contracts.
According to Asabo, her ministry managed to disperse grants to 834 households of persons with disabilities in 2021 and now intends to disperse grants to 1,535 households in this financial year. She is, however, grateful to government for increasing special grants for PWDs from 5 billion in 2021 to 9.6 billion shillings in the financial year 2021-2022.
We have had a special grant, and this grant has been increasing from time to time as part of affirmative action to capacitate people with disabilities access other programs. Persons with disabilities are grateful to the government for honoring this request. We increased the special grants for persons with disabilities from 5 billion in 2021 to 9.6 in 2021-2022 financial year.
Asabo acknowledged that persons with disabilities have been represented and recognized across all political structures of the country from village to national level. Uganda will tomorrow, 3rd December 2021, join the rest of the world to mark International Day of Persons with Disabilities at State House Entebbe under the theme Leadership and Participation of Persons with Disabilities Towards an Inclusive, Accessible and Sustainable Post-COVID-19. Nalgo Muyingo, Africa Today.
Thank you so much, a reporter. Moving on, government is set to give an additional 360 million shillings to each constituency to be distributed among the Emyoga SACCOs. Right from the early stages of implementation, the Presidential Initiative on Wealth and Job Creation Emyoga, one of the most cross-cutting issues raised by beneficiaries has been inadequacy of the seed capital allocated to each Emyoga SACCO. Our reporter has more.
Each SACCO received 30 million shillings during the initial disbursements, with the exception of elected leaders who received 50 million shillings worth of seed capital, bringing the total amount received per constituency to 560 million shillings. Whereas some beneficiary categories have relatively manageable numbers, some categories are overwhelmed by numbers and consequently struggle to satisfactorily serve their members. However, the State Minister for Microfinance Haruna Kasolo has revealed that the government is to inject an additional 360 million shillings per constituency to ensure each well-performing SACCO receives another 20 million shillings. The minister said that the additional seed capital shall be disbursed to Emyoga SACCOs upon satisfying the set criteria of convening annual general meetings, voluntary and consistent saving, loan recoveries, and observing the 30% savings requirement before a member can access the loan. Kasolo, however, cautioned SACCO leaders against those bringing in money from money lenders to gain quick access to the seed capital. He noted that such cases will in the long run jeopardize the program as the intended beneficiaries may be left out. On arising concerns about the preset repayment period of 4 months, Minister Kasolo urged SACCOs not to give long-term loans as it kills the motive of the revolving fund to benefit all members. Senior Presidential Advisor on Greater Masaka Affairs, Justin Namere, advised Emyoga beneficiaries to be ambassadors of the program wherever they are.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter. We'll take a quick break. We shall come back with the international news. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching TV Africa, the right to know. In our international news today, the fear of being infected with the newly discovered coronavirus variant, Omicron, pushed a lot of Kenyans to go for their COVID-19 vaccine on Tuesday as cases of the potentially more contagious variant keeps increasing. Now, first identified in South Africa, it has prompted concern among scientists and public health officials. Our reporter has more.
Head of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, Dr. Daji Atela, said it wasn't yet possible to predict a rebirth of the virus due to the new variant. Atela urged Kenyans to keep getting vaccinated and called on the government to improve access to jabs. Dr. Daji Atela advised that they should also have the drive-through vaccinations in the places of work, on the road streets, at public transport regions, and even in the clubs so that it becomes a way of combating this particular virus. Dr. Daji added that they saw with the previous strain of Delta that actually by being vaccinated there was a lot of protection from getting severity, and they believe that it could also happen with this particular strain if more studies are continually being done on it. He said there was a chance that getting inoculated could provide good protection from severe disease caused by the Omicron variant. So far, United Kingdom, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and Australia have reported cases of the new variant, joining a growing list of countries that have confirmed cases among travelers returning from Southern Africa.
Away from that, the Ethiopian government claims to have retaken control of Shiwa Robit, a town situated around 220 kilometers from the capital, Addis Ababa. Now, a week ago, the same town had allegedly fallen under the control to the rebels. We have more.
According to the press secretary Bilen Sayum, the Prime Minister's decision has inevitably boosted troop morale and emboldened the people of Ethiopia to unite and to resist and to push back the threat of the terrorist organization. He added that in the past few days alone, great strides have made in forcing the TPLF to relinquish their occupation of key area. In the last few days, the state broadcaster has shown images of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in uniform allegedly on the front line. Fighting is currently taking place in 3 fronts. Government forces and the TPLF have been locked in conflict for over 1 year. The government say this victory has boosted morale. On Tuesday, the Prime Minister promised more advances against the rebels.
Moving on, local state authorities in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, have rejected a judicial inquiry's report that concluded a massacre occurred during a crackdown on protesters in the city last year. Our reporter has more.
The EndSARS protests in October 2020 began over police brutality but spread into the largest anti-government rallies in Nigeria's modern history. Protests ended with a crackdown by security forces at Lagos City's Lekki Tollgate, where a panel set up by the state government to probe the incident said security forces killed 11 people in what amounted to a massacre. In its official response to the commission's findings released last month, Lagos state government said it accepted only 1 person was shot and killed in the Lekki incident, as confirmed by the state's pathologist. Amnesty International has said 10 people died when security forces opened fire on protesters, while the army has denied it used live rounds and said troops only fired blanks to disperse the crowd. Nigeria's federal government has already dismissed the panel's report as flawed and filled with inconsistencies and insisted there was no massacre at Lekki. Lagos state government's document said consistencies and contradictions rendered the panel's finding in the deaths and conclusion thereupon totally unreliable and therefore unacceptable.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. Moving on, in our international news, Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, on Wednesday confirmed its first cases of the new COVID-19 variant, saying it had been found among 3 passengers who had traveled to South Africa. Now, West African neighbor Ghana also had it recorded the new Omicron variant, tracing cases to Nigeria and South Africa.
Cases of Omicron have been detected in numerous countries since the strain was first reported to the World Health Organization in South Africa last week, prompting border closures and travel restrictions. The head of Nigeria's Center for Disease Control, Ifidayo Adetifa, said that genetic surveillance has now identified and confirmed Nigeria's first case, now known as the Omicron variant. Adetifa said the contact tracing and follow-up to ensure isolation have commenced, adding that Omicron is widespread globally. Ghana's Director General of Health Services, Patrick Kuma, said its cases had been detected at Accra's International Airport, mainly coming from South Africa and Nigeria. Speaking during a visit with Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja, Ramaphosa again called on countries to lift unscientific flight bans. France said on Wednesday that it would start allowing flights from Southern Africa to land on its territory from Saturday, but with drastic restrictions allowing only French and EU residents to disembark along with diplomats and flight crews. The government spokesman Gabriel Attal said that those travelers will need a COVID test upon arrival, with a negative result still requiring 7-day quarantine, while a positive test will require a 10-day quarantine. The coronavirus outbreak has killed 2,976 people and affected 214,113 in Nigeria, according to official statistics, but the real figures are believed to be much higher, in part because of low testing rates. Home to around 210 million people, the West African nation has launched vaccination campaigns and requires civil servants to show proof of jobs or a negative test to enter public buildings. But vaccination rates remain low, with just over 6.5 million people given one shot and about 3.5 million people given two shots. The government said it plans to inoculate around 112 million people, amounting to 7% of the adult population by the end of next year.
Well, thank you so much, reporter. We take a quick break. We shall come back with the business news. Welcome back for the break. Now let's turn your attention to our business news today. The President of Kenya spoke to Parliament on Tuesday praising the country's response to the pandemic. Now in his State of the Nation speech, President Uhuru Kenyatta downplayed the impact of COVID-19 on the economy. We have more on this report.
While speaking to the nation, the president said that he was happy to go on record in the August House as having succeeded in the choices that his administration made. He added that because of their fiscal stimuli, he can report that the impact of COVID-19 on the country's economy was 14 times less than that of the global economy. Facing an election next year, President Kenyatta criticized the rejection by the courts of the constitutional amendment and praised economic growth in the country. Uhuru Kenyatta affirmed that during the second quarter of 2021, real GDP recorded a phenomenal 10.1% growth, and this is the highest growth ever recorded in one quarter in Kenya's history. Critics of the president have raised concerns about a number of issues missing from the speech, such as the high level of debt in the country.
Away from business, in our health news today, scientists in South Africa are bracing up for a rapid increase on COVID-19 cases following the emergencies of the Omicron strain on the virus. Now, there have also been several reports of airline passengers who have been rendered stranded at South African airports since Friday. We have more.
According to the regional virologist for the World Health Organization, Africa, Dr. Nixie Gumed, the discovery of the new variant is a concern due to the age group of people being infected. Dr. Nixie said that there is a very high concern, meaning that it seems as if the majority of the people that are infected by this variant is quite an age group that is having a high possibility of really taking the virus all over it anytime. Some countries have already suspended flights with South Africa since Friday. Dr. Gumed believes this may discourage other nations from declaring cases in future. The discovery of a new and potentially more transmissible coronavirus variant by South African health authorities has sparked a lot of reaction across the world, causing a number of countries to ban travelers from several southern African countries. The World Health Organization announced Friday it has designated the newly identified coronavirus variant as a variant of concern named Omicron. Besides South Africa, the newly identified variant has been detected in Botswana, Hong Kong, and Belgium.
In our sports news today, KCCA will go into the top of the table clash with 6-point gap after seeing off a spirited Bull FC 3-1 at Lugogo. Now goals from Innocent Wafula, Charles Olwanga and Davis Kasidie put the hosts on the road to victory, with Musa Esenu pulling one back for the visitors.
Bull Football Club were the better side in the first half but found themselves 1-0 down at the stroke of halftime as Wafula hit the target with a good shot from outside the area. Alex Isabiri's men returned as they left in the second half, and the introduction of Joseph Semuju saw them earn a penalty after he was fouled in the area. But he went from hero to villain as he sent his attempt over and above the bar to the relief of Mole Biekwaso, who started the game with 5 defenders. In the 77th minute, Luanga, who had come on the silent Sadat Anaku, extended the hosts' lead with a solo goal as called to the Bull Football Club defense with less numbers. Kasiria then put the icing on the cake with a tap in from just inside the 6-yard area from the well-laid cross by Herbert Achai. Kampala Capital City authorities win keep stop with 22 points from 8 games and return to action on Sunday with a big one-way to second-placed Vipers, who beat Gaddafi Football Club 3-1 in Jinja. Bull Football Club, who dropped to 5th on the log with 14 points, will be next in action on December 7 against Busoga United in another Jinja derby.
Well, thank you so much for being our loyal audience from where we started from. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We shall keep updating you. It is TV Africa, the right to know.